Welcome to another episode of That's Some Crazy Shit with Kelly and James. My name is Kelly and my co-host is Mr. James. What's up, dude?
Whoop, whoop. I'm here from the corner studio as usual, and things are good. It's actually not 100 degrees.
That's good. 100 degrees is a little warm.
Yeah, it's been 100 degrees a couple of days. It's been too hot, man.
Yeah, well, it's good that it's cooled down and you're not in a heat wave.
The heat wave.
I had to throw that in there.
Heat wave.
So, you know how we, sometimes talk about aliens and stuff, and you're a statistic dude. You're a numbers dude. I am not. And so we found somebody, James, who is right up your alley, and that is our guest today.
Right. In my former life, I did use a lot of numbers to look for trends. And when we talked about this guest, I was like, yes, this will be very cool. And did we talk about this prior, me and you, about how they released the videos and stuff? And so I thought so. And it's like, yeah, that's funny. And then bam.
Yeah, we actually did. So our guest today, his name is Errol Vas, and he is a marketing professional. And he just had an interest in UFOs. And, and merging that with his marketing, looking at what his interests are, found some trends with UFOs. And he had reached out to us and thought that would be something that our listeners might want to know about. And James, being the UFO dude, was like, yes, please. Thank you. Yeah. So,
and then, where is he from?
He is from China.
China, you people. We are being heard in China.
We are internationally known on the microphone. Okay, that's all I got. Okay, so you ready?
Wiki. I'm ready on the table, baby.
All right, DJ JB.
Yeah.
And that's funny because that is literally 4 letters. DJ JB.
Right on.
Yeah, see? That could be your thing.
You rock the mic and I'll do the wiki.
Or it could be JB DJ.
JB DJ, I like that one better.
Or DJ JB.
DJ JB DJ JB JB. Yeah, that might be. Let's work with DJ JB on the wiki.
There you go. All right, so you ready to bring on our guest, DJ JB? That's a lot to say.
Yeah, that is kind of hard. We'll have to work on that, but wiki. And that means let's do it.
Welcome to the podcast, marketing guru, Errol Vas. Errol, thank you so much for coming on the show. Welcome to That's Some Crazy Shit. How are you?
Hey guys, thanks a lot for having me. Doing well, thanks. How are you guys doing?
I'm excited you're here, Errol. When the first time we spoke, I was like, this is going to be a good episode.
Right on. I'm excited as well. Thank you.
So let's get right into it. I know we're going to talk about UFOs, and that's why James is excited. And you're a marketing person. So explain to the average Joe how these two things mesh together, UFOs and marketing.
Sure. You know what? They really don't mesh together too well. It's just, I just tend to try to put my interests together, right? So like you said, I am a marketing consultant and director. And so while there isn't any immediate overlap between the two, there's a lot of marketing tools out there that we can use to kind of gather some insights about the UFO and extraterrestrial phenomenon. And I guess I can kind of walk you guys through it a little bit here.
Yeah, so, I'm excited because my job is working with numbers and seeing trends. So I'm excited to hear this.
So yeah, and kind of tell us your interest in UFOs, your background, how you became interested, and you're following this information for a reason, so it must have stemmed from something.
Yeah, well, I've always found the UFO phenomenon to be very interesting, and then I'd say I became very interested was probably back in 2000. It would have been 2015 or 2016 when I saw one myself, and then from there I was was very interested.
So tell us about that.
Yeah, sure. So this would have been back towards the end of when I was just finishing up university. So it would have been about 2015, and I was with a friend, and we were headed out to my parents' acreage, which it's about a 5-minute drive. This is in Alberta, Canada. It's about a 5-minute drive down Highway 28. And I've made that drive many times. So I was pretty used to there being a lot of wildlife, a lot of deer. So I always drove that highway very slowly. And about 2 minutes into the drive, I saw something that looked like a shooting star. And it was cool. So I was just kind of looking at it. And then almost at the blink of an eye, it was suddenly really close to us. So it's really hard to explain this actually, because how fast it moved. It doesn't really compute in your brain when you see something move so fast. So it was far away. It looked like a shooting star. And then within the blink of an eye, it's close to me and I can see silver. So my first thought is that it's a plane about to go down. And how close would it have been? Maybe like 100 feet. Like, it was pretty close. And
how big would you say it was, Errol?
I can't even say. It was pretty big though, but I can't say because it happened so fast and it was so weird. It was so weird. But it was, maybe if I could give an example, it was close to a power pole, to an electricity pole, and it looked like it was about 2 of those in length.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
It's pretty big.
Suddenly, yeah. So I'm with a friend and I see, and I'm like, so I say to my friend, hey, check it out. I think this plane's going down. And he looks up and he sees it too. And then suddenly when it's not too far off the ground, it just stops all of a sudden, like boom, stops. And it just slowly rotates to face like 90 degrees. And then the back of it lit up white and red and then a blue color, and then it just shot off in a 90-degree angle, boom, and it was gone. So it was very difficult to understand what was going on because of how fast it moved and just the way it moved too. It was kind of like a laser pointer on a wall, like the way it moved. It was just all over the place. And it was very hard for my brain to compute what had just happened because it was so far away and then so close, just like this, right? So,
do you and your friend did you guys talk about it? Did you guys like both confirm what you saw?
Yeah. Did you see what I saw?
Yeah, no, this is the best part of the story. This was right before New Year's, right? So we ended up going to this New Year's party and we told everyone what we saw and everyone's like, oh, you're crazy, blah, blah. So we just got the presidential treatment right off the bat after telling everyone about it. So we did both confirm. And at first it wasn't like, wow, we just saw a UFO. It was more so like trying to explain what we had just seen and how it was able to move so fast. That was the most interesting part of it, was just seeing how fast this thing could move, and it is just against all like logic and physics. It was,
that's crazy.
So at that point, you know that it's nothing from here.
For sure. It just moved way too fast in the blink of an eye, and I still don't know what it was exactly, but I do know that it stopped on a dime. It turned, the back of it lit up, and it just shot off really, really fast. Really fast.
So fast forward to now, you're this marketing person and you're doing this research. And so tell us, kind of what you found and the trends that you're seeing with UFOs.
Sure. Yeah. So I think just around COVID time, beginning of 2020, the news is, everywhere you look, it's COVID. But at the same time, the U.S. Congress had just announced that they actually acknowledge UFOs and that they're real, and they released some videos, right? So that kind of sparked me up a bit because I came across it and I was like, wow, this is really cool to actually see this stuff being mentioned. And that kind of sparked my interest up quite a bit again. And so we were talking about trends, and James, you were saying you like numbers and identifying trends. So have you guys heard of a Google app called Google Trends?
I have not.
No, I have not.
Okay, so what Google Trends does is it takes a look at what people are searching on Google, and it lets you know. So, for example, if there's like a celebrity scandal, Google Trends will show that people are searching for that celebrity more in, let's say it happened in 2021. So you can see the trend of people searching for a particular keyword. All right, so that's kind of what Google Trends does. So it might be like, okay, 50 billion people searched for the keyword UFO in 2018, and 150 people searched for it in 2020. Kind of a deal like that.
Okay.
So when we look at Google Trends, surprisingly, since 2008, search queries for UFOs were on the steady decline. And so the search trends for UFOs were on the steady decline. And it wasn't until 2020 when Congress announced that it does in fact acknowledge UFOs, and that they released some of that video footage, that there was a big spike in search volume for UFOs. So now, since 2020, the search volume for UFOs has continued to rise, which means people have more interest in the topic, and they're researching it more. So that's a cool insight that we can gather about UFOs and the extraterrestrial phenomenon from a marketing tool.
Wow, that's interesting. And a coworker and I were talking about this, how disclosure, it's not going to be an event, it's going to be a procedure, a progression. And it's funny because people always talk about the 3 videos that they released, but there's a handful of other ones that have been released not from the military, but whistleblowers. And and this video is incredible. It's happening on, they're getting it from military ships, and it's like, and then it gets all caught up and lost in COVID. I think that's what's interesting, and then, some of these conspiracy people might say, well, they kind of planned it. Now would be a good time when everyone's distracted to let this slide out there and see what happens.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of video footage out there, but I mean, as soon as it's from what's supposed to be the most credible source, the government, as soon as there's or at least from the government, everyone's like, ooh, so.
That's true too.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at trends, are you finding that is it more in maybe certain parts of the world where you're finding that their search is more, or is it more men than women that are searching for UFOs, or like age group? What are you finding as far as trends go?
That's a really good question, and that's all information that you can get from Google Trends. I haven't looked into it that granularly, but I do know that the trend holds constant through most countries. It's a global trend, where I don't know the difference between men and women for searching it, but I do know it is a global trend, and it has there has been a shift in interest in end of 2019, 2020. So that's when the interest did shift. So that is a really good question, and something that I definitely want to research later.
Yeah, I just think it would be interesting to find out if it's maybe in more areas of the world, or is it more men than women, or is it kind of even, right, that are really looking for UFOs? And then when people are looking for UFOs, what exactly are they looking for? Are they looking for just sightings? Are they looking for contact? And did you ever see trends for contact? Because you always hear about sightings, but you never hear about actual contact.
Yeah, that is interesting. I think to find out that information, really, for Google Trends to work, there has to be a lot of search volume on a keyword. So many times you can't get that insight unless it's something that's really been searched. So just having the word UFO, I think that's still the most popular label right now, and that's why we can get those trends. I don't know if you'd be able to get the information for contact and stuff like that, but I mean, it's something that we can definitely try. There are some other marketing tools that I've used that kind of give some more granular insights. It's a tool called Pattern 89, and it's an AI marketing tool that basically grabs data points from many different sources. Like, it goes through millions of emails, websites, advertisements, images, and it just kind of gathers a lot of data points, and it makes insights for you. So I have a few of these insights I can share as well. And this all ties back to increased awareness and increased interest by the public. So the first insight that Pattern 89 gives is that the Space Invader emoji has gone up 1,040% in body copy use on websites. So, I mean, maybe this doesn't directly say that, oh, people are talking about UFOs, but it's still cool to know that there's definitely a correlation there, right? So 1,040% in the last year is pretty big, right? So the Space Invader emoji. Next insight is the word UFO in body copy has gone up 157%, which is a pretty big number, right?
Wow.
So, yeah, so online people are talking about UFOs a lot more. And I mean, even for UFOs, there's a whole bunch of different names for them now, right? There's UAP, UFO. I think there's more.
Yeah, there are several now, and it'd be interesting if you were to pull all those together and see what the numbers would be too.
I don't think that stuff like UAP would have enough search volume, but I guess we could check into that. So yeah, so the word UFO in body copy has gone up 157%. So more people are writing about UFOs. The word space has gone up in headlines 236%. So there's more. I guess this isn't directly related to UFOs, but there is a bigger interest in space, and I think we've had some, all around. So that's another one. And then another cool part about this software is it can also look at images. So it just scours the internet and finds images. So the amount of images with a spaceship in them have increased in popularity by 174%. So that's a pretty big number too.
A huge number.
Yeah, it's. Well, I let off with that first statistic of 1,040%, so it makes all these ones sound like less. But no, yeah, 100.
Yeah, those
174% increase in spaceship images is massive, right? And then on top of that, images that include space travelers have gone up 256%. So
it would be also interesting to see what the percentage would be on the keyword conspiracy theory.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think, for sure. Definitely that would be an upward trend of conspiracy theories, and
and like words like Mars, just because they've been talking a lot about Mars. Same with the moon. Anything to do with space, though, I would imagine has an upward trend just because of the billionaires going to space, the probe being on Mars, and what you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And then tying that also in to UFOs as well, because it all correlates together.
Yeah, for sure. I know planet images. I have a statistic as well that planet images have gone up 216%. And I think that's a really good point you make, Kelly. It probably coincides with all like the human technology that we've been developing for space, right?
Right, and just the billionaires race to space and all that good stuff, right?
Yeah, all interesting for sure. Yeah.
Well, see,
another thing that sorry, go on.
Sorry.
I was going to say another thing that ties in with what James was saying is like a disclosure wouldn't be a single event. It would kind of be a series of events. And I think that you can't directly interpret this data as such, but it seems that, if this was a series of events, I think having increased awareness and interest by the public and gradually getting it up into the mainstream would be part of that event or part of that disclosure, right? So it's interesting to see these stats.
Someone like me who's been kind of weird this way and followed stuff like this, that's exactly what they say they would do. They're going to go through a period of desensitizing everyone, make it a lot easier for people to think about aliens and UFOs, and and then what happens? They release these videos, and it's like not even a big deal.
Well, and then like I was saying earlier, if you look at like marketing, advertising, there's a lot of UFOs and aliens in marketing, in advertising of products. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it's crazy to me when you really start to think about it. Because I'm like, why are they using, aliens and stuff in marketing? Is it because they are desensitizing us, getting us ready, James?
That's what they say. And then one day, who knows? They're going to show up and we're going to go, what's the big deal? We've been waiting for you.
Right? We're at least we're not panicking, right?
Hey, we were hoarding toilet paper after COVID. Can you imagine what's going to happen if they say aliens show up?
Yeah. And no, that is a really good point. UFOs and advertising. And last year, I don't know if you guys saw this campaign. It was by Oreo. Oreo came out with an extraterrestrial advertising campaign, and it was called The Offering. Did you guys ever see that one?
Oh, I don't think so.
It sounds familiar.
Okay. Yeah, they released it just as Congress was releasing those. Well, maybe I guess I should say it was just 2 years ago then. They released it just as Congress had released those UFO videos. And so it was a two-part advertising campaign. So first it was a commercial, and it basically showed, it was kind of a little bit of a confusing commercial. It showed these two guys in a field, and they were watching UFOs in the sky, and they had made like an Oreo offering in a field that was near them, and then they saw a bright flash of a light, and then the aliens had taken the Oreo and left a giant crop circle that looked like an Oreo. So that was the commercial. And then yeah, you guys should look it up on YouTube afterwards. Yeah, the second part of the campaign was they did this limited edition packaging. And yeah, this was called The Offering. So it was a special packaging that looked like it had some like alien code on there. And basically what you're supposed to do is you take one of the Oreos and you put this packaging face up, facing the sky outside, and you put one Oreo on it. And that's called The Offering. So that was their campaign there.
Whoa.
Very interesting. See, it's just interesting that they would, make it even a two-part campaign and call it The Offering.
Yeah, exactly right.
Hey, now I'm just going to throw it out there, is Oreo's corporate execs, are they aliens?
Do they know something that we don't know?
Yeah, the Oreo people are on to something we don't know.
Hence the keyword conspiracy theory.
Yeah, that's how they start.
You heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first.
Maybe, James.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, see, I wouldn't have known this about Errol though. See, so it's the numbers thing now. Now I'm rolling with it.
Yeah, I mean, and when you look at like the big picture here, back in, I don't know when this was, 1940 or 1960 or maybe even earlier, War of the Worlds, that radio broadcast in the States.
1930.
Oh, wow.
Okay, War of the Worlds. War of the Worlds was old. It was old. Orson Welles, the original, where people were actually jumping out of buildings.
Freaking people out.
So,
yes.
So, yeah, exactly. So when you see that kind of content, the reaction that caused in 1930, there's a good reason why you'd want to slowly desensitize a public to stuff like that, right? So if you kind of look at the content that we're seeing nowadays, it's much more compelling than that War of the Worlds broadcast, and our reaction is nowhere near as visceral, right? So
well, just to give you some perspective, it was October 30th, 1938.
Oh, gotcha.
Right? And so people are listening to this, and the stories are that people believed what they were hearing on the radio and were freaking out. People had jumped out of windows, committed suicide. It scared people.
Yeah, people were boarding up their windows and shooting at anything they heard, and then they thought it was a full-out war, and they were they were going crazy.
People were going crazy. So that just tells you how believable right? And then think of the things that we see now, the images that we see now, as far as space and aliens and UFOs, and it's going to take a lot more than somebody just telling us. Now we all want proof.
Yeah. So I mean, I think when we look at the whole time span, it's moving in that direction, right? And it's slow, so we may not realize it, but I think it's definitely taken big leaps and strides.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. So you've experienced the UFO phenomenon now. If you had the chance to experience another cryptid, Bigfoot, ghosts, something like that, is there one that you would want to see or experience? Yeah,
well, I'll air out all my experiences. I actually have seen a ghost as well. Like, I don't know what it was, but
wow.
Here, so I could. You want me to tell you that story too?
Yeah. You got time. Go for it.
Okay. So I guess completely unrelated to the UFOs, if I could choose one. So I would have been about 10 years old, and I don't know what this was. Okay, I won't specifically say it's a ghost or what it was, because it could have been imagination, it could have been anything, right? It could have been lighting. I have no clue what it was. Anyways, so this was also at my parents' first acreage. I was downstairs watching TV by myself. They had purchased this acreage. It was really nice, but it was an older property, so it had some history. Anyways, I was watching Jurassic Park. I'm sitting there. I still can see this photographic memory. I can see every little detail still. It's crazy. So I was watching Jurassic Park, and for some reason I looked over to the window, and the window was this big window on ground level. So I'm on the ground level. So it was right there in my face. I look at the window, and there's a dude standing at the window. And it was pitch dark outside, but this thing was darker than the night, right? So it was this dark thing. And so I remember I was staring at it. I couldn't look away. And in my head, I'm saying, oh man, someone's breaking in, right? So I'm staring at this thing. I slowly move my hand to the remote control. And as I remove my hand, as I go to touch the remote control, he kind of leans in and he holds something up. So he's holding something in his hand. I don't know what it is because it's all black. It's like a shadow. And I can tell he's trying to show me something. He was holding this thing up, and he was kind of leaning forward with his head and nodding a bit. And at this point, I had the remote in my hand, and I was like, on the count of 3, I'm just going to bip out of this room. I'm out of here. So I slowly got up, click, and I was out of there. And I ran up, Dad, someone's trying to break in. So my dad kind of turns on the lights outside, and he doesn't see anyone. He's like, oh, it's all good. So that was the end of it. So I thought I had seen someone breaking in. So flash forward maybe 4 years, and we had sold that house to a family, and I went to school with their son. And I guess he had a birthday party, and this is 4 years later, and he comes up to me at school, and he's like, the house at your old house, did you ever see ghosts in it? And at first I was like, no, never, right? Because I actually at the time thought that was someone breaking in. I just thought it was a weird, he just looked strange. And he says, well, some of us, we were playing hide and seek at my birthday, and two of my friends, they rounded the corner and they saw this big man apparition standing there, and they started crying. And these are hockey players from the high school. They weren't they weren't little, they were, and they both started crying. So we saw a ghost in near the boiler room, and that's the same part where I saw the thing as well. And as soon as he said that, I was like, wow, that thing breaking in, that would explain why he had no face. It was darker than the night, and how I forgot to mention this, it kind of disappeared he just disappeared. So that explained it, and that really creeped me out. So I can't say if it was a ghost, but I mean, it was definitely freaky.
That is freaky.
I got cold chills listening to you.
That is freaky. Wow.
I'm not an expert, but I would have to say yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the way it faded away, that was a big part of the story. I can't believe I forgot that. When I stood up, he kind of backed up and just faded away into backwards, became smaller as he faded away. It was very, very strange. And so I'm always open to anything. I'm never going to be concrete on my opinion. It could have just been imagination. It could have been anything. It could have been someone, and it was just lighting. Who knows? But I definitely saw something, and yeah.
Crazy. Errol, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing the UFO story, the ghost story, the marketing stuff. I think it's interesting, but no, it's crazy shit. So that fits the bill. So thank you.
It is. Thank you for having me. It's been a fun time recounting these stories.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate you.
Yeah, and if you want to come back, let us know.
You guys as well. Definitely. It'll be fun. I'll just have to experience something new.
Right? You need to see a cryptid, like James said, and then come back and tell us about it.
Exactly.
Or bring us some numbers about cryptids.
Yeah, I mean, I could always do that stuff too. Maybe we can do another marketing episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.
Right on. Thank you, guys. It's been a pleasure.
How many of our guests have come on talk about us or talk with us about one experience, and then they're like, oh, you know what, I had this other crazy experience, let me share that with you.
The crazy thing about it is that when we talk to him, and for those of you that don't know, we screen all of our guests, right? Yes. So when we initially spoke with him, he didn't tell us about his stories.
No,
right? He didn't tell us about his experiences. So that was completely organic. So I thought that was kind of cool. He's not had one, but two.
Yeah, that is cool. You know, and how many of our guests now that's who else did that? Now I can't remember his name. I feel bad. Who's the high energy?
David Easel.
Yeah, David. We were talking to him, and then he and we weren't even going to talk about paranormal experiences, and he shares too, and he gets really emotional about it, and yeah, that's cool. But yeah, that was kind of random, but let's go stay with Errol.
No, I'm just saying that it's just funny how people just, when they start talking, can say, I had something happen to me, not really trying to say what it was, right? But it was some crazy shit. And here you go, here's my story. And most people, if that, whatever happens, are like, okay, I can't tell anybody, because maybe they'll tell one or two people and they'll be like, whatever, man, you're nuts. Right? So they won't tell anybody, or they'll be afraid to tell somebody. So it's been really interesting how our guests back to back have just randomly shared these paranormal experiences that they've had, and that not being the plan. No, we didn't really have a plan to begin with, but it just kind of went in that direction.
Yeah, we never really have a plan, people, but that's why we're cool that way.
Yeah, we never, but it's kind of cool. So I just thought that was very cool of him to share, and we'll have to have him come back. We'll have to have him look for some trends for us, like we asked him to, and have him come back and see what he finds.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theory would be the one I would want him to look at.
Because
we actually, we did create one.
Yeah, we did. That was the start of it right there.
So
we'll have to have him track it now, see if it trends.
Yeah, come on, just people. saying.
Let's make this happen.
It's possible. It's possible. All right, you got some random bullshit?
All right, so sticking with the alien thing, and I was going to hit you with, have we ever talked about alien implants?
What? Oh, implants in people.
Yeah, have we ever talked about the alien implants they found in people?
James, I don't think so. Not like an episode. Maybe me and you have like talked about it, but I don't think we've ever talked about it on the podcast.
So, for people who don't know, and this is where Kelly plays Oracle, and I hit people with random bullshit, and she'll pull up the facts on the internet. So this is the thing, people. People have claimed that they have had alien implants. Okay, they'll have some kind of encounter, and then they'll feel something under their skin, or they'll go take an X-ray, and there'll be a foreign body in their bodies. Okay, when they're removed, they'll have weird properties. Okay? Maybe different combinations of metals. One combination of metal was actually like from a meteor, same composition of a meteor. Okay. Now I'm sorry I can't cite any sources, guys. This is just random bullshit, but these things are read and heard and seen. So they take out the one implant they took out was giving off radio signals. Okay. So that when they go in to remove it from the body, it's encased in nerves. So it was tied into this person's nervous system, and it's giving off a radio signal that they can track. Excuse me. Once they remove this foreign object from the body, it stops giving off a signal. Okay, and then there's weird things about all these implants. They're, you know how the human body will, I mean, you protect yourself by forming scar tissue. A lot of times these implants don't have scar tissue around. There's no scar where there's an entry, where you can see an entry point. Okay. And there's a doctor, and I'm sorry I don't remember his name, but my friend Kelly, and I always think of the Oracle on Batman. She's like on the computer. There's a doctor who's removed several of these, and he recently passed away. And it's just a trip now. And people are saying these are the same type of things we do with animals when we tag animals.
Yeah, well, I mean, that does make sense, right? So the guy that the one that you're talking about, as far as the guy having the implant removed from his leg, was from 2021, and it was an Alaska man who said he baffled his doctor as he had this implant removed from his leg that was emitting a radio frequency. There's not a lot on the internet. However, you can go to YouTube and watch the video of the implant being removed.
And now let me do a real quick side note. I didn't know about the one you just mentioned. The one I had mentioned was from years ago.
Oh no, this one I'm looking up was just recent.
Yeah, see, so this goes to show this has been happening, I want to say, since the mid-50s.
Well, the first person wild to ever say that they were implanted was a guy where there was a Long John Nebel radio show interview with the UFOologist John Robinson, where Robinson recounted a neighbor's claim of being kidnapped by aliens in 1938 and subdued by small earphones placed behind his ears.
Wow.
And then, of course, there was a lady named Betty Andressen who claimed that aliens had implanted a device in her nose in 1967. And there was another woman in Canada named Dorothy Wallace who had a similar experience in 1983. So there's a bunch of books that you can read on it as well.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing. You know, people. What is happening out there, people? What are these implants, and what are they used for, and who's putting them in there, and who knows about it? I have questions, Kelly.
Yeah, well, they say that those are some of the things that kind of prove that these patients were actually tagged by aliens so that they could be monitored like we do with animals in the wild, the forest, and the ocean. And is that so far-fetched? Actually, no, it's not. So, I mean, hey, I'm not saying that it's real, but I'm not saying that I don't have enough information to say that it's not. And I believe that these people think it's real. And if this dude's getting something pulled out of his leg and he can't tell you how it got there, that's weird.
That's crazy, my friend.
That's crazy. That's crazy shit. Thank you for sharing, James.
Hey, that's my pleasure. It's just popped in staying with the alien theme.
So you can get us on our website, that's somecrazyshitpodcast.com. There you can check out all of our social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We also are on YouTube as well. Next week, we will have another guest, as always. Mr. James?
Do we have what's our streak of consecutive guests now? We should look into that.
I think maybe 3.
3? That's
maybe 3.
good.
Maybe we've had somebody come back 3 times, at least twice. I know that we've had at least 3 people come back at least twice.
Right on.
Right?
They must enjoy it.
Yeah. And what's not to enjoy?
That is true. You know, I enjoy it.
Yeah. All right, dude.
So until next time, keep your minds open, people.